In part two, we're going to deal just with objective 3. And objective 3 looks at business level cooperative strategies and describes their use. And effectively, there are 4 or 5 ways to group these business level strategies. I'm giving you a model that's a 4-way model, but it's not a sort of squared model like some of the other models we've had, like the model of business level strategy itself. What we're going to do is just have effectively a list of the different models and how they pertain to each other, how they relate to each other, and how they relate to leading to strategic competitive advantage through a business level cooperative strategy. A business level cooperative strategy improves the firm's performance in individual product markets. The combination of the resources and capabilities of the partnering firms create an advantage that the firm can't create by itself. So at the most basic level, it's when you outsource your warehousing and distribution, or you do a joint venture on product development, or you have crossovers of marketing like you often see between television stations and radio stations, for example. All those crossovers, all those linkages are business level. They're not engaged to involve the entire corporation. They're engaged to involve either a function or one of the businesses. When we talked about Wesfarmers a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the evolution of Wesfarmers, and we also showed that there were different businesses within Wesfarmers, and those different businesses within Wesfarmers operated separately with different partnerships. Similarly, David Jones, Woolworths South Africa, David Jones has a different distribution, a different set of partnerships, a different set of marketing, a different set of linkages than Woolworths South Africa does in its department stores in Africa, and the Country Road Group does. So there's differences at business level of who they may in fact engage with. So the first set of, or the 4 complementary strategies are, the 4 business level cooperative strategies are complementary strategic alliances, which can be vertical or horizontal. Vertical with your suppliers or customers with a inward logistics or outward logistics, or vertical. Horizontal means you're establishing different businesses across maybe different markets or maybe different subsections of the same industry or the same section of the market. Competition response strategy, uncertainty reducing strategy, and competition reducing strategy are the other 3 types of business level cooperative strategy. So let's start by looking at the first of those, complementary strategic alliances. As I said, there are 2 types of complementary strategic alliances. Some of those complementary strategic alliances are vertical and some are horizontal. They relate to accessing the value chain or the core or the aspects of the value chain that have particular resources or capabilities or create core competencies that you don't have, that you want to access, that you want to gain from. So when we showed that video just recently, just in between these 2 areas, you would have seen the video on Mitsubishi joining the Nissan-Renault alliance. They talked about all the benefits that could arise in different parts of Mitsubishi, both in its distribution, but also in its horizontally in its product development, in its production. And again, the flip of that was the advantage for Mitsubishi, but the advantage for Renault and Nissan was critical mass, was size, was the ability to gain economies of scale, was to extend the utilization of its core competencies, which is a horizontal aspect. So a horizontal alliances is 2 potential competitors joining to actually achieve something. A vertical alliance is a supplier or a customer involved in the value chain in this way, supplying something or receiving something, and it can be any of the activities. We talked earlier in the course when we talked about Tesla. One of the things that came up was how Toyota and Prius, when we looked at the rise and fall of Prius and the rise of Tesla, that one of the issues that Toyota had was that it needed to have a critical mass for its hybrid technology because it had not moved on from hybrid, and it was in fact trying to move into fuel cell hybrid in the future. It needed a critical mass of hybrid being an opportunity to offset its lag behind Tesla and some other electric vehicle manufacturers, but mainly Tesla, in that position. And then we mentioned how that BMW had taken in an alliance based on Toyota releasing access to its patents, in an alliance, the hybrid technology and the hybrid processes and the hybrid patents that Toyota had, so that they could use it in their hybrid vehicles, hybrid BMWs, hybrid Mini Countrymen. And then they've extended that in other areas as well. So that's a strategic alliance, that is two competitors forming an alliance to deal with another competitor, but also to change the speed that the market changes, the market flows, so that they can catch up to the competitive advantage that Tesla's have got. A competition response strategy is when you join forces in a strategic action of a competitor. Now, we could say that the example I just gave you of Mini, BMW and Toyota is a competition response to Tesla. But sometimes firms join forces to compete directly with an existing alliance. So when LG formed its alliance around OLED and Samsung developed a completely different set of technology called QLED, what Samsung then subsequently did was draw in other manufacturers to create, to have QLED technology in their product. So they created a competitive alliance so that OLED and QLED would be seen both as two competing premier systems, flagship TV systems, flagship display systems of similar size, of similar mass, of similar importance, to respond to the clear market leadership in picture quality that LG had obtained. Those type of alliances are formed for a strategic response. They're often not short-term tactical, they're not small, and they may lead to an ongoing alliance that is it's not possible to easily reverse. Complementary strategies, which you talked about a minute ago, can be short-term, can be long-term. It can be tactical, can be strategic. Uncertainty-reducing strategies are strategic alliances used to hedge against risk and uncertainty. They're particularly useful in fast cycle markets when you don't know the direction of the market, when you want to add some type of production or process, such as Hyundai and Kia forming an alliance with a rival for platforms. Now, they're not, cars are actually a medium cycle market, but electric vehicles could be a fast cycle market. The Arrival platform will enable Hyundai and Kia to leapfrog years of development into a practical small light truck, small light van, delivery vehicles, that component of the market, but also some different type of SUVs because it's a platform. While at the same time they're developing separately their own EV ranges, and they're doing that in a cooperative way, with Hyundai now only owning 30% of Kia, but there's exchange of information, there's uncertainty reducing strategy because they're in an alliance to develop new products and new technology standards. The example that I've put up related to open source software is an uncertainty reducing alliance that is also gives a complementary alliance. And then they've talked about monetarizing. So that's quite an interesting example as well. And finally, competition reducing strategies are explicit collusion, which is illegal, when firms negotiate production output and pricing agreements in order to reduce competition, or tacit collusion, which tends to occur in highly concentrated industries when different companies indirectly coordinate or send each other price signals or you can watch what's happening through observation, so you know that there is currently going to be a price war or not going to be a price war, what the direction is, or which longer term direction a company is pursuing to reduce the competition. Now, the competition means that you'll be able to charge your customers more with a competition reduction strategy, because you won't be in a price war. That's basic, or a technology war. That's basically what it means, or a differentiation war. Complementary business level alliances, especially vertical ones, have the greatest probability of creating a sustainable competitive advantage, because it's no much different to any other way that one part of a value chain inputs into the next part of a value chain. Horizontal complementary alliances are quite difficult to maintain, because you are competing against each other while still collaborating. Though there is a phrase called coopetition that we would deal with if you do a master's in strategy, that talks about things a company can do in coopetition with other companies, and also coopetition in the relationship they have to government. And finally, alliances to reduce competition are more likely to achieve competitive parity than competitive advantage, because they are response-based, and they're not about growth, they're about defence. Okay, so that's Objective 3. Watch the video examples about Objective 3, and then we'll come back and look at Objective 4, which is the use of corporate level cooperative strategies in diversified firms and how that works.